And I'll give the floor to the distinguished representative of Armenia.
Mr. President, Mr. Chef Cabinet, we thank the Secretary General for presenting his report on the work of the organization in 2021 and highlighting his priorities. As the international community has embarked on the long path of recovery, the United Nations continues to exercise its vital role in coordinating and leading the global efforts to respond to health, socio-economic, humanitarian, and other consequences of COVID-19 pandemic. The establishment of COVID-19 Response and Recovery Fund and the elaboration of socio-economic response plans to support inclusive and sustainable recovery were instrumental in mobilizing and channeling the necessary resources to reach the most vulnerable. We appreciate the cooperation and support of the United Nations Development System in operationalizing the COVAX facility to ensure vaccine deployment to many countries, including Armenia. I also want to appreciate and express my support to the PGA's New Year resolution on vaccine equity and hope that it will contribute to making vaccines available for all. Effective and responsible multilateralism with the United Nations at its core is crucial for fulfilling the aspirations of people to build back a better world. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development remains an overarching framework for achieving a better future that leaves no one behind. The international community needs to amplify its efforts to get back on track in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. And I would like to emphasize the importance of a stronger focus to the needs of countries in special situations, including the landlocked developing countries, which have been particularly affected due to their systemic vulnerabilities. Mr. President, on the maintenance of international peace and security, the Secretary General's appeal for an immediate global ceasefire, endorsed by the Security Council resolutions 2532 and 2565, was a crucial initiative to enable humanitarian access and assistance to most vulnerable, in particular those trapped in conflicts and crises. Unfortunately, the overwhelming support of the international community to this timely initiative was not translated into cessation of hostilities in all parts of the world. On the contrary, in our region we were faced by brutal aggression against Nagorno-Karabakh in the fall of 2020, which devastated entire communities, causing many deaths, thousands of displaced, destruction of the critical infrastructure, and a major humanitarian crisis. Obstruction and politicization of the humanitarian access to Nagorno-Karabakh has prevented the provision of comprehensive assistance of the United Nations to the affected people up to the day. Mr. President, the pandemic has exacerbated divisions, tensions, and structural inequalities, leading to the growth of hate speech, xenophobia, violation of human rights, and conflicts. Among the new tendencies is the distortion and manipulation of the international law to justify brutal use of force, identity-based hate crimes and atrocities, employment of terrorists and mercenaries to suppress the inalienable right of people to self-determination, and attempts to isolate war-torn population from the international community. The challenges to the multilateralism underscore the importance for the United Nations' strengthened role as the guardian of the international law and its core values. We welcome the Secretary General's new agenda for peace, with a strong focus on prevention, which also highlights the role of the regional arrangements under Chapter 8 of the UN Charter. In this context, Armenia values the consistent support of the Secretary General and the United Nations to the central role of the internationally mandated format of the OSCE Minsk Group co-chairs in promoting comprehensive and lasting settlement of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. The resilience of the organization against the attempts of manipulations trying to legitimize the consequences of the aggression and war crimes is crucial for its credibility and moral stance in countering false narratives, violence on ethnic and religious grounds, and attempts to impose unilateral solutions in utter disregard to the norms of international law. We commend Secretary General's leadership in promoting and protecting human rights, achieving gender equality and full empowerment of women and girls in all spheres of public life. We also appreciate the transformative measures outlined in his report on our common agenda related to the promotion of full realization of women's rights and gender parity, facilitating women's economic inclusion and eradication of violence against women and girls. We acknowledge the efforts of the Secretary General to further pursue ambitious reform agenda and develop new capabilities, promoting agility, integration and cohesion across the UN system. The ability of the United Nations to quickly respond to evolving challenges and new emergencies and effectively deliver on its mandates require the organization to be properly equipped with the necessary means and timely fulfillment of the financial obligations by member states to overcome the financial crisis of the United Nations. We share the assessment that repurposing existing funds and adopting less rigid budgetary procedures can also contribute to better and efficient use of available resources. In conclusion, Mr. President, I would like to reaffirm Armenia's support to Secretary General in strengthening the efficiency of the organization and its adaptability to future global challenges. Thank you.